Hey everybody, welcome back to another replay cast. Third Black Tournament, Grand Finals, Boulanger vs Greyhound, Game 2. Let's take a look at Boulanger's deck, which is basically the same deck he used against Blitzwar. No, against Krot on Hell in a Very Small Place. Yeah, there might be some small changes, but like the basics are, or like the important things are here again, right? M41s, 103Ds that he really likes, automatic, mortar, Dragona spam, Dragonas. Right, he has an interesting infantry setup. Not a single infantry has been taken twice. I like having like 2, sometimes even 3 cards of like the same spam infantry. I just like spamming and not running out of them. But yeah, he takes a different approach. I also order my infantry differently. I have all my rifle infantry, etc., starting from the left, whereas he essentially has them starting from the right. In any case, fairly standard stack. You have to block 15 for the ASF, and when you for like your dual purpose. Fighting Falcon Bomber, you don't see that often, although I would say that probably more often in Scandi Mech, because you don't get the Beacon 1C, the Beacon 1C compared to the 1A. Of course, having 10 seconds aim time versus 30 seconds. Have for your Seed and Helo Hunter as well. Yeah. Typical Scandi Mech, as typical as it can be at least. So let's take a look at what Greyhound plays. And he also plays Scandinavia, but unspec, which is interesting. Which leads me to believe that we're not going to play on Hell in a Very Small Place. Then again, look at this infantry tab. Not a single ATGM infantry. No Norlandsjägare either, right? These guys. He really likes them. And sometimes they can sort of fill the role of ATGM infantry. But given the fact that we see 4 cards of rifle infantry, I think we do end up playing on Hell in a Very Small Place. I don't see a reason why you would skip on ATGM infantry or even Norlandsjägare if you're playing on any map but Hell. And I assume he's playing unspec because of the Beacon 1C. This is gonna be the great equalizer versus mech decks for Scandi. Other than that, other than the infantry tab, relatively standard deck except for the Viggen. Oh no, never mind. I take it back. This is the ASF Viggen. It's still a bit rare, but I thought for a second it would be this one. He used to run this ATGM Viggen every now and then. Not so much these days. And yeah, 2 cards of ASFs and the MLU up at it. I assume he mostly wants to use those planes defensively. Although, if he's playing against mech, I definitely would have considered running the Fighting Falcon. But yeah, seeing this deck definitely makes me think we're gonna head to Hell in a Very Small Place. So yeah, let's take a look. God damn, I'm really, really bad at guessing maps, huh? Oh man, I'm gonna eat my words. Or I guess I am now, already. In any case, in this matchup, given that we're playing on plunging, the 2 main advantages, I guess 3 main advantages that Greyhound has is, for one, of course, Beacon 1C. Secondly, the SCRV 121. Thirdly, wheels and helicopters, right? He has access to XA 186 NOs, of course. He has access to Lynxes with the Jägare, right? He can, if he can make use of it, that's great. However, if I win, I quit, coming out from Boulanger. However, I have to say, I'm a doubter when it comes to like holding on to these towns, or like any kind of like offensive town push, wheel town push, against the mech deck, especially, without having access to like recoilless rifles or ATGM infantry. That is just very, very spicy. And no matter where you push, unless you're pushing the 2-pointer from Boulanger spawn, you're gonna defend with a town. So I don't know if Greyhound was just thinking, alright, I'm gonna lose. The only chance of winning that he thinks he might have is getting the Charlie spawn and then pushing here or something. But I'm just very, very surprised at this infantry tab, given the map that we're playing on. And they were allowed, of course, to adjust their decks, right? They didn't have to like send in decks beforehand and then have to play exactly these decks. No, none of these rules. So that's what's surprising me a bit. And he does seem to open... Oh, very heavy. He definitely does seem to open here. And I guess the argument that you could make is, you know, there's bushes here, bushes there. Although this is a bit scary here with the big forest here. Where you can put in tanks and help defend. But still, I don't know. I don't know. Like with the decline here and the whole forest here, it's relatively easy. I mean, maybe not easy, but certainly a possibility. Reasonable possibility to push back into here. And given that he's attacking from open ground, the beacon 1C is gonna be a bit tough to use because it's a lot better in like forests and such where stuff is less mobile. Greyhound has only one AGM lane as well. I guess we'll have to see in any case. Greyhound pushing down there with a 1-1, 1A5 and a 2s, two of them. Interesting. I don't know. I think for 15 points more, I may have personally just gone for a second one. No, actually, now that I think about it, it's probably still the better decision. The 1-1, I mean, it is expensive, don't get me wrong, but 1-1 just gonna count. It's just gonna counter all those 1-3Ds, or there's multiple. The 1-5 and 2s, essentially everything else. Although they do get one shot by RBS 56, right? The ATGM squads, the Swedish ones. Fennec Tattoo is interesting, very interesting, because Boulanger generally isn't one that you can, let's call it quote-unquote bully with like a single ATGM helicopter or something along those lines. I would expect Boulanger to, on every side that he at least has a, let's say, reasonable push, have a way to at least deal with like single helicopters. So, especially against a mech deck where you can expect cheap manpads, etc. And even more False Keymaker. I think he also runs a kind of Stormer, I believe, in the XA. So Stormer and False Keymaker. Same here. I assume the upwitted squads might be False Keymakers. I don't know. We will see. Boulanger, starting with only 1 CV, of course. Boulanger, also 1 CV. Very heavy push over on this end here. I presume he goes for the Bravo stuff. And very, very light here. And look at this. I'm once again gonna eat my words. No manpads, no AA on this area. One automatic here, one automatic there. So I guess I guess, you know, I'm not gonna eat my words. This isn't really a reasonable push, right? This is just a defensive hold. Maybe he's gonna go for there. If not, he's probably gonna not either in this town or in any of these bushes. Let's take a look. Speed up this deployment a bit. Finding 20mm, gonna scare away the Scout Defender. I'm gonna okay. First buy here was the CV9. It was Stormer. I'm really curious what the first buy of each is. By now, 1 minute over and 5 seconds, they have 112 extra income, excluding this, of course, and you know, excluding any extra points they had left over. Landing here, surprise, he kind of managed to do it, but the Lynx is very fast and small, so it does have a good acceleration and deceleration, so it lands quickly, it launches quickly, so yeah. Has to make sure he gets into this town. Sometimes the sound is just a bit weird. Like just adjust it then. Fennec does get a kill here on the STRF, I believe it was. Oh, did he do what I think he did? Oh no, he landed here. Wow, that's... Wait, oh, he actually can shoot that. Okay, sometimes, like depending on how thick the forest is, right, it doesn't prevent you from shooting through it. But of course it means, yeah, you saw that a single hit at max range from 2 AP deals 4 damage. That's cheeky. Right, 1-2-1 immediately got rerouted here. That's good to see, very important. Automatic turned off. The Puff being not particularly fast and having no stealth means you have ample time to just, you know, turn off your radar AA, usually, if you pay decent attention, which he really does. But 3 squads of Fast Keymaker sitting here. No AA support, by the way, but I don't think he's like too worried about planes or helicopters anyway, given that he's front playing against Scandi and secondly against Mech. Although Fighting Falcon, of course, can do significant damage here. Half being evac just a bit too late, but the block 15 just flying in, but the automatic finishes it off. Or kills it straight up. Smoke coming here, presumably to make use of the Jäger. They're spotting what's here, but the smoke is preventing the 1-to-1 from getting line of sight. This is out in the open. Also, literally no AA on Greyhound's end. Scout Defender and Fennec coming in, presumably to spot the fob, which he should have no issue doing, given that it's out in the open. A Greyhound these days, I think, is not a fan of putting it in forests, because forest fires will just keep slowly but surely dealing damage to fobs. But then again, I think Plunging Valley is definitely a map, especially from this side, where you have a reasonable chance to successfully hide your fob. But on the other hand, right, with all those mountains and forests, it can be very, very difficult to actually deny the opponent from like spotting it ever. Yeah, are gonna get dealt with. Necessary 1-to-1 kill the automatic here. First games I got it missed. Base defense coming out from Boulanger. He also starts with the SCRF 90 CV, which is quite durable. The Stormer sneaking around. Sneaking around has also been something that has, yep, there we go, already spotted. Sneaking around has been something that I also put to good use against Boulanger in my tournament match. I believe when I was playing Baltic. In a previous tournament, not this one. I think it was the first Black tournament. Not much happening, 1-to-1. Just chilling back. But this town is still in Greyhound's control, right? However, again, he just doesn't have very good area denial, right? Just move up with those Lift Garden and those 103Ds, or if he had one in this area in automatic, would deal so much damage to those fast Jäger or any of the infantry here. Beacon 1C coming out for Greyhound. Not really knowing that his fob is spotted. Maybe realizing it now. I forgot to... Okay, he's moving the CV. I was gonna say I forgot to check if Boulanger actually spotted the CV. Given that there was no ping coming out, maybe he didn't. But there's no CV. But the fob will soon be dead. It's just that the Beacon 1A is not particularly accurate, so without corrected shot, as you can see, it's gonna take a while actually. That low accuracy really being a bane here. Ground taking method +2 though. Getting that early +2 CV, especially if you're at a somewhat established position, especially if you have full control over Foxtrot, or vice versa, getting full control over Bravo for Boulanger's side, can put some immense pressure on your opponent. And even if it doesn't, just a minute or something of +2 or 2 minutes can give you like 30 or 60 points in the lead, which is really nice to have, especially plunging, which I wouldn't say there's a tendency, but it's not too rare that it comes to somewhat of a... It stalls out sometimes, you know? Both sides more or less equal in kills and losses, especially if they trade the 1-pointers, which didn't happen here, but can relatively easily happen, because especially with those 103Ds, if they moved up here or something, can just really easily cut off reinforcements. Maybe not easily, but at the very least force him to take the long way around, and then have to cross all this open area, and you never know what the opponent might have in there. But I think most people don't utilize this very much. Neither do I, and not because I think it's a bad idea, but just because it's a mistake on my end. Beacon 1A is still coming in. Whoa. I think he might be quite off. Is he going for the beacon instead? Like, he's firing in this area here now. It looks like, at least. It's weird. Maybe it was like, I don't know. Like, the thing is, he must know it's like at the edge of the zone, right? So I don't know if he was like too zoomed in, so the zone edge just disappeared like this, or he tries to counter the beacon. Whatever the case, weird. Wigan crits the block 15 and yep, allows the kill, but the automatic will, as expected, finish it off. Second Wigan coming in here. One ASF traded for another. Good trade for Greyhound. He mainly has ASFs, so losing one for killing the opponent one. Probably better for him than for Boulanger. Ping coming out again, so he definitely still remembers quite well where it was. So I'm pretty sure this was, I don't know, maybe he just saved 2 of them? No. Must have tried to counter artillery or something instead of the... What died here? Don't tell me the 1-1 died. Oh, the 1-1 died. 1-1 got dragged by those 1-3Ds. Either because of the huge massive RPM or just side shots or something. In any case, that's not what you want to see if you're Greyhound. But he is at the very least at 8 points in elite and 89 points in elite, and he still has complete control over Foxtrot. While it isn't a lot that he has here, right? He lost one of the 5 Schememaker squads. It's not like at the moment Boulanger has a lot of stuff to push with. I think what Greyhound has to make sure is that he doesn't suddenly lose this, right? He has 1 Dragoner squad and a 5-pointer here and 3 more there. Sure, they're far at the edge, so he relatively early knows if there's a push coming. But if there's suddenly like 2 tanks and 5 lift guard squads coming in, it's just a bit too much. Buys his E for Foxtrot, very, very, very aggressive. Given how thin he is here. Moves up with those fast Schememaker. Who killed a bunch of 5-pointers with their Erics. And definitely can be a huge threat to those 103s. Both on 103 HP. Respectively. It caught well as Lift Garden. And those Lift Garden are... While they're being 2v1s, not a massive deal. But they are on veteran, right? And they have the same weaponry. But the first squad got singled out by those 2, so they should probably go down relatively quickly, and then the second one will follow. Just 5-pointer spam pushing here against the Dragoner. Puff making sure the automatic stays. It's very aggressive. That's the second Puff. Oh, it flied at an angle above the automatic so that it couldn't raise the gun far enough, and that's the reason. Oh, the Fennec Tattoo finishes off both 103s. That's so important. So important, so crucial. Alright, trading the 1-1 for 2 103s, not necessarily what you want to see. Sure, it's better for you points wise, but you only get 3 1-2-1s and your opponent gets like what, 9 103s? 9 or 7 up with it. Already downwards them. I think it's 9. Maybe even more. But points wise, certainly good. Positioning wise, also very good because there's now not much holding Boulanger back in there. Fighting Falcon coming in. Again, we have no AA. Ace F. The Wigan was circling. Fighting Falcon shooting the bombs landing just between those 2 squads. I think this one actually wasn't 1 HP before. It was more damage maybe. In any case, it gets out alive. That's what matters. That's a nice thing about 15 HP squads. Oh, Beacon kind of countering the Beacon 1A. I guess he must have noticed that Boulanger never moved the Beacon 1A. And the Beacon 1C being a lot more accurate, of course. Yep, there we go. Not bad at counter battery. And the bad thing about the Beacon is, right, you can't really... It has like only 1 full salvo with it, right? So you always have to keep it next to the fob. And thus, you can't just... You can still like have it sit there, give 5 position command and shift here, but it shoots 14 rounds, right? With 3 seconds in between, if I'm not mistaken. That's after the first shot, 13 times 3, right? It's 39. It's gonna sit there for 39 seconds. It's more than enough after the first 1 or 2 shots for Greyhound to check, okay, where is it coming out, and start up the counter battery. And before the salvo is over, the 1C shot, the first few shells have already landed. Ooh, fast coming in at 90, barely being able to break the line of sight. And yeah, now it's on Boulanger, and Boulanger, ground-wise, not looking particularly good. He is of course more stuff in mid, but it's not quite enough to do a proper push and hold in mid, especially if the Beacon just completely mops up your Lift Garden. And against Magmos and Scandimag as well, many of the targets are pretty soft. Those Beacon shells are gonna do a lot of damage. RBS got caught out in the open. Don't outrange that 1F5 of course, and thus it double taps the infantry. CV coming in from Boulanger to stop that +1. Stormer got down to 5 HP from the automatic. single Dragoon squad. But there is, of course, the 1 and 5 and a 2 here, which can do some work from the sidelines, as long as it doesn't have to 1 versus 1 that 103D. That's where that 15 RPM will just murder the 1 and 5. Not even talking about the extra 3 armor it has. Stormer sitting here. The Cayuse, or whatever, the Scout Defender got killed by the NM135. Fob presumably didn't get spotted. Second Beacon 1A not coming out at the moment. Fennec 20mm just chilling here. Dragoner got dealt with. Block 15 coming in, trying to go for the Fennec. Vigan Evex has no fuel. Ooh, Block 15 has to disengage. Doesn't hit with the first aim 9. And thus the Fennec lives. Lifgarden still trying to push on here. A bit ballsy, given that they're so low on HP. But maybe it felt like the only way for them to survive the beacon is to move forward, which is fair. But yeah, this is gonna be awkward for Boulanger, because pushing mid while controlling neither this forest nor that part of the forest, right? Tough. Tough. Even if you're playing mech. Whoopsie. And if I'm now trying to snipe that Fennec, should be able to do that. Yep, there we go. Still, by the way, oh no, there's an automatic here, which could get killed, but Lifgarden don't quite have the range, and if they want to get the range, they have to cross the open, and then they will get spotted. Bit of a conundrum here. Can be, especially if it's like 50 meters or something, like that's missing, can be quite, you know, persuading to just want to push over across the open into the automatic. Cross those 50 meters and then you get caught out by it just before you can hit, before you're in range and get killed. Moving though past those Dragoner with their stabilized battle rifle. There we go, another standing still. But they're on low HP and their Dragoner are standing still. But ooh, the Lifgarden barely survive. For now. 95 NO2 versus, well, Falskepjäger? Oh, but one of these shooting into the side, missed the first shot, misses the second shot. How unlucky. Especially with the 3 side armor, a single shot would have gotten it down to 2 HP, I believe. But this beacon with the 10 seconds aim time finishes off the Falskepjäger, so those M41s don't have line of sight on them anymore. But they're shooting at the tanks panicked with 33% accuracy and miss, unsurprisingly. Still though, as long as it keeps being about those small skirmishes, those small engagements, that's where Greyhound can keep the upper hand. Because that's not necessarily where mech thrives. Mech thrives through numbers. Be it either, you know, on a focused front line or a wide front line. Like a focused attack or a wide front line. Kind of depending on like map and who you're even playing against, and even, you know, what deck you're playing as. F16 got shot down. That's the last ASF. It's an F16. Right? It's too busy talking about mech decks. Yeah, last F16. No more ASFs for. Oh no! Oh no! No no! And the M2 goes down. That was last ASF for Boulanger, but also the old AT Chamberlain for Greyhound, which, in all honesty, not a big deal. I presume he mainly took it so he get elite AMRAMs. And at the same time, having no ASFs isn't a huge issue for Boulanger. While he might not know it, it's not like Greyhound really has any like ground attack mains, especially now he doesn't have any left, right? He has 2 F16 lefts, I believe, in 1 puff. Ah, they're bombing the Stormer. The Stormer, yep, they got some kills. Oh, but they actually survived. What did they kill? 2. Oh, they killed the other beacon! Oh, how unfortunate. And a Falskepjäger. That's the second beacon gone. Doesn't necessarily have to be a huge issue, but like, now the form is like as close to that weight as it can be. It's not really that big of a deal, but like it's still annoying, right? I didn't fully pay attention to the Stormer if Greyhound was waiting to kill something specific, or if he just immediately, as soon as they entered the building, had them have the weapons turned on. But getting that beacon, that really hurts Boulanger. Oh, 103 gets side shot. what I presume what might have happened here. One of the these is here, you tell it to reverse here, but because there's buildings in a way it wants to wrap around this way, and that's why it showed the fast schematic 90 the side armor. Could have happened. Or he just told it to reverse into this bush. I don't know. But sometimes it happens, and you have to really pay attention when you want to retreat your tanks behind a building, right? And yeah. And you hate to be in this position. You hate fighting against the beacon while you're behind on ground and points and kills and everything. Most notably on a map like this, where your units are always gonna hide in like the same positions, right? Especially in a position like this, you have full control of Fox, you have control over this foothold here. You know where those units are gonna be hiding. They don't have a lot of places to hide, and that's where the beacon can just keep suppressing you, keep damaging you, keep killing you. Fighting Falcon survives, the other one goes down. The Puff doesn't get to shoot its seed missile and doesn't finish off the block. Now the Dragoner get bullied by the beacon and Boulanger spawn. I mean, they're gonna be stuck in here anyway because they have no transports left. I guess you could just use those NM135s to pull them to the front line, but I think at this point it's honestly game over. I don't see how Boulanger can recover from this. He should not have too much issue getting back in a foothold back in here. Wait, this CV... Excuse me, what? What the fuck did I miss? What now? How? I'm so confused. How did the Delta CV die? I don't see any bomb impacts. Did like... Don't tell me a plane crashed on it. That's a plane crash, right? Where's the plane? It usually like slides off a bit further. There's the plane. I just... What now? I don't see artillery shells impacts. I mean, wasn't like a long time ago, right? It only gets +1 for a couple of minutes now, or like seconds. And I'm pretty sure it was in this town, but there's no bomb. There is some destruction here, actually. Maybe there were. I guess it was those fighting falcons, right? That flew here. But usually you see some craters, so I guess that's what. I guess it was the fighting falcons. I was just confused because typically you see craters, right? Like, I guess they're gone by now. Over here, they disappear after a while. I don't know. I'm sorry for scuffed casting, but what else do you expect these days? But yeah, ground keeping the pressure up, killing the automatic. Yeah. Like I said, I think Boulanger has a realistic way to get back into Foxtrot, but it's gonna be tough to do more, especially while Greyhound keeps the pressure up here. Puff gets out alive barely, but yeah. And as I like to say, but yeah. Keeping the pressure up here. There's a little left to stop him. And yeah, Boulanger never really had the opportunity after like the first couple of minutes to really build up. Greyhound kept the pressure up. Greyhound kept deciding. He kept the initiative. Essentially decided when battles happened, where they happened, and they happened on his terms. And that's in general how ideally you want to fight a wargame. You always want to be the one who is proactive. You always want your opponent to have to react to you. And especially against the mech, against a deck that just needs a bit of build up. Mech generally doesn't. Mech is usually very easy to play, but of all the mech decks, Scandi mech is possibly one of the one that is the most easily exploitable, I would say. Because your tanks are still a bit awkward. As good as the 103D is, it has clear weaknesses. We saw it a bit earlier. No stabilizer, having to retreat with no turret and stuff, You have great IFVs, but you don't have something like BVP, which is such a good all-round combination. Yeah, you are in a really, really strong deck, but you fight a bit different than most other mech decks. And at times you are just a bit awkward. Greyhound just exploited that. And he did it very well. I have to say I didn't believe in him in this game here, in this match. I didn't believe in him to being able to do this, but you know, I guess if you just keep being aggressive, then you don't really need ATGMs or recoilless rifles. He showed me, I guess. But I assume Boulanger probably already accepted that he most likely lost, but it's probably just maybe he thinks like that Greyhound must be really weak somewhere and he doesn't like fully know where yet or something along those lines. I don't think though he thinks he has a realistic chance of winning. He lost to Beacons. He's behind in Congress points. Has a realistic chance of getting back in here, but like I said, I think that's just not good enough. Lots of plans coming out here. I guess there's an MLU as well for ASAPs. He even turned off the Mavericks. Oh no, I hate when this happens. When you zoom in and it locks on you onto a plane. Fighting Falcon dies. That's the last Fighting Falcon gone. Block. The MLU evacs a bit too early, so it doesn't even actually hit anything. But the two puffs, yeah, should definitely be able to kill the block here. But they don't. They don't go for the gunner on the evac. So all three planes here actually get out alive. And a counter cap coming in from Greyhound. So even if both of these are kept by Boulanger, which they probably might not, Greyhound still did the counter cap in Alpha to deny this. And even though Boulanger did end up getting in here, not a lot of stuff is left alive. Leopard 25 into coming here, though he has to be careful that he doesn't get wrecked by the automatic, which is starting to run out of ammo. MLU coming in once more. That's the other one. I'm pretty sure the previous one had to be quite damaged. Puff behind. MLU should easily kill that 1F5 unless... Can he keep line of sight? Can he keep line of sight? No, he cannot. Block 15 coming in. Vermin here got spotted. He can trying to kill the automatic. Fob is empty and over half HP. With 12 minutes to go still. But again, I just can't see how Greyhound loses this. Even like if his front line completely collapsed, which I again can't really see happening. There's Boulanger has to catch up so many points. MLU goes down. It's one MLU left. Block 15 goes into space and survives. More reinforcements here from each side. What's that? That's the XA. Is the beacon being resupplied? No, it's not. Not yet, at least. And +3 again for Greyhound. Plus Kimika should have no huge issue against the Lift Guard, especially with those M41s coming up behind. Ooh, the Stormer retreating here is a bit scary. What's Greyhound doing? Stepbrother, what are you doing? Must have accidentally selected them together with the Stormer for attacking. Unless you really wanted that MG. Wow, really lucky that both of those missed. The second one maybe not so much, but that the first Carl Gustav missed, and yeah, now he's retreating and seeing what he accidentally did. 2 Jaeger 90 coming in for the fast support. Vermin here should have no chance. And then 135 presumably getting dealt with by the Dragoner. They missed the first two loss. Third one hits. They only have one armor after all. 8 M41s coming in. But ooh, I mean, I guess the 103D is quite low. There's an automatic here. With good positioning here, should definitely be able to do with those M41s, but at the same time, he has to be careful of that 103D killing his automatic, or the other 103D, or his own 103D. So they're fighting Falcon or something could be nice. Beacon 1C. I'm not sure if he's out of logistic trucks, which I don't think is the case. I haven't seen him use many yet. Unless he's out of those, I don't really see why. Oh, this must be a shift command or something. No, I think I know what happened. You see, it's not using the road. He may have just fired positions somewhere and then is trying to use DMG. Also, CV died. M41's presumably spotted and the smoke ran out. Maybe he just doesn't care about the beacon anymore as well. Could very much be the case. And I still think resupplying it with some supply trucks is definitely worth doing. I think what he definitely now should do is just reinforce mid with infantry before suddenly Bollinger just rolls over through mid. 350 points, let's say he needs, because ground is still ticking, of course. With 15 points a minute, 15 ticks a minute at, like, let's say 9 minutes. So he gets 135 ticks, unless my math is mistaken. So he needs something like, let's say, like +3 over 9 minutes, or like for the remainder of the game, Bollinger to win. Which would mean killing this and counter-capping Delta, or capping Delta rather. Which is gonna be scary, hard, tough, whatever you want to call it. Not impossible, but tough. Like I said though, I think Graham, what he should do now is reinforce mid as fast as possible. M41s are gonna get wrecked. And it's gonna really slow down Bollinger's push once more. They're gonna be really, really important for scouting, for fire support, for killing stuff, obviously. 103D, and you want to sub as well? There's the supply trucks. Is he really gonna just let this beacon sit here? I mean, that's some big dick energy. There are these incursions here at the back, killing the beacon 1A with his own beacon 1C. Also, of course, a huge deal. Yeah, even though Bollinger mathematically has a chance, every second that he's not killed this and kept that is just lowering his chance even more. And I don't see CV coming in, which he desperately needs. So I think we can just... Like I said, I think Bollinger probably accepted his fate a while ago already. But for one, he may just want to run out the clock. Then again, he probably doesn't even see that not like the +500 probably still happening anyway. So surrendering or not doesn't really make a difference. Beacon 1C is actually now being... There we go, finally resupplied. CV actually died, but yeah, it's just game over. And second game goes to Greyhound against, well, not all odds, but I didn't expect it. Greyhound had the generally considered, but for, I don't know, given the matchup, maybe he actually would prefer that side, because as you can see, he can like get Foxtrot with his fast stuff and reinforce his left one pointer with his fast stuff. Maybe this side was actually preferred, because from Bollinger's side, I don't think he could have made as good use out of his fast stuff. Right? Let me go, obviously, ground significantly more guns, but not by a massive margin, but still. Let me go back to the map real quick. I can tell you what I'm talking about, or what I'm trying to explain here. So, especially in opening, right, Greyhound's advantage, speed. From Echo, speed can guarantee is a strong word, but like massively increase his chances, let's put it that way, to capture this, and thus gain full control over Foxtrot, as well as getting this foothold earlier on to increase the chances of keeping this foothold and being able to contest Bravo. Typically, your main weakness from this side is this, right? Where especially against Mech deck, it's going to be relatively tough to deal with this. But of course, the big advantage is left and right, where you can make use of his speed. From this side, similar thing, right? You can really make use to do this. But I'm not sure if it's really going to help you too much keeping this foothold here. And pushing here in mid against the Mech deck, I don't think it's going to work. The Beacon 1C, if there's a push coming in mid, is so strong on this side because forces are always going to be here and there, right? As long as you don't get completely rolled over and like lose complete control of this forest, you will always roughly know where this stuff is, and the beacon once you can just roll over your opponent. And I think reinforcing Bravo, or like getting back into Bravo after losing it, is much harder than getting back into Foxtrot from my perspective, making the initial hold here a lot more important. Again, typically you prefer this side, but from Greyhound's perspective at least, I think his side might have actually been better. Which isn't me saying, by the way, that he only won because of the map, he only won because of this side or something. He did a very, very good job. He played well. He played better than Boulanger, right? But I think every now and then, even though, and I agree with this, generally speaking, this side is considered worse. In some scenarios, and I think this might be one, it might actually be better. But maybe I'm just talking out of my ass here, right? I'm not like some know-it-all. In any case, that's game 2. There will be a third game, of course, and whoever wins that wins the tournament. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Later!